So what is the difference between a Puritan and a Separatist? Because the Pilgrims were actually Brownist, Separatist. What's the difference? They're not actually Puritans. They were Separatists. They're different words. They got different meanings. Okay, so from crosswalk.com, in 1534, England broke ties with the Roman Catholic Church. Roman Catholic Church controlled lots of things, but in the 1500s, England broke ties with it, despite the fact that the separation was tied to Henry VIII's political and marriage issues. Protestant reformers saw this as an opportunity to bring true reform to the church in England. In time, these reformers came to be called Puritans, mainly because they wanted to purify the Church of England of Catholic traditions that they didn't believe to be biblical. So these Protestants want to purify the Church of England. And so that's why they were called Puritans, because they were, pure. They were full of piety, and they were the chosen people. And interesting that Henry VIII was the one that ushered this in, and it's probably because he liked to have sex with lots of different women who couldn't give him a son. Anne Boleyn, didn't he chop the heads off a lot of his ex-wives and girlfriends? So interesting that he's the one that ushers these Puritans in. Now, unfortunately, both the church and the government were one entity. So the Puritans were about reform, but the Separatists were about creating their own church, because they give up on the Church of England. However, after many years of struggling for change, some Puritans felt that little progress had been made toward true reform. They decided it was time to separate from the Church of England and start anew. So Puritans, Separatists, the ones who want to break away from the Church of England, were called Separatists, and that's William Bradley. William Bradley, the Pilgrim, the one who gets on the Mayflower and comes here and sets up Plymouth Plantation, has the big meal with the Wampanoags, the chief Massasoit, and then Squanto. Right, we'll get to all that shortly. So, though the groups shared theological beliefs and values, the former chose to remain part of the Church of England, while the latter chose to separate. The Pilgrims were part of the Separatist group. Unfortunately, at this time in England, the church and state were intimately tied, and Separatists were considered treasonous. They lived in danger of both persecution and imprisonment. For this reason, a small group of Separatists from the village of Scrooby in North Nottinghamshire determined it was time to leave England. So in 1609, the Separatists sailed to Holland. For more than a decade, this is the Dutch, right? I think Lieben, L-E-I-B-E-N, Lieben, Netherlands. So for more than a decade, they enjoyed religious freedom in Holland and gathered openly for church under the leadership of Pastor John Robinson. So why not stay in Holland? They found the religious freedom for which they came, but they didn't like the openness of the culture that was corrupting their kids. The answers may surprise you. First and foremost, these pilgrims, as they would come to be called, had a deep concern for the well-being of their children. Life in Holland had proved to be difficult. The only work available to immigrants was poorly paid. Despite their hard labor, they struggled constantly with poverty. Work was taking a toll on both parents and children, causing them to age before their time. Furthermore, some of the children were assimilating into Dutch culture and abandoning their parents' values. William Bradford, a passenger on the Mayflower and governor of the Plymouth Plantation, explained, "Of the sorrows most heavy to be borne in Holland was that many of the children, influenced by these conditions and the great licentiousness of the young people of the country and the many temptations of the city, were led by evil example into dangerous courses, getting the reins off their necks and leaving their parents. Some became soldiers, others embarked upon voyages by sea, and others upon worse courses, tending to dissoluteness and the danger of their souls, to the great grief of the parents and the dishonor of God." So they saw their posterity would be in danger to degenerate and become corrupt. Interesting about getting the reins off their necks. So William Bradford liked that, thou shalt not dishonor thy father, right? Must remain obedient. No freedom whatsoever. You will listen to what I say. I'm brainwashed by this stupid fucking religious bullshit. I want you to be brainwashed by the stupid bullshit, and oh my God, you know, the kids are running around with other kids and they want to be free. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. The children, you know, we in Bradford are saying my children are going to get away from me, away from the reins that I have put on them, and then they're just going to go degenerate and do whatever the hell they want to do. That isn't the case. I mean, it's so stupid, to be honest with you. We are born good, but society corrupts us. So freely choosing your own life is the only way to live. That's the only way to have freedom, is a necessary condition for life. And if this just makes me think that these fucking pilgrims, you know, these separatists, they want to put the reins on their children for the rest of their life. It's all about control. It's all about domination over others. And then there's Stockholm Syndrome, so they have such a great respect and love for these over-the-top controllers and manipulators. The pilgrims long to bring the gospel to people who have not heard it yet. This is William Bradford again. They cherished a great hope and inward zeal of laying good foundations. Or no, this is a book. Okay, so anyways, for the sake of their children, for the gospel, that's why they immigrated again out of Holland, away from the Dutch culture, which is Amsterdam, smoking pot right now. So that's actually remarkable, right, that they were allowed to practice their religion, but everybody was practicing whatever religion they wanted to, and therefore if their kids intermingled, then it was like, wait a second, their Christianity isn't as shitty as your Christianity. I'm going to try this Christianity out instead. Nope, can't have this. We got to pick up and go. It's time to go to America.